after a hint last week, confirmation now that the family of one of the Tequesta teens lost at sea is filing a wrongful death lawsuit. Let's go live to the Palm Beach County Courthouse, where a lawyer for Perry Cohen's family is now speaking.
Use reasonable judgment as Perry's trusted custodians. Today, on behalf of Pamela Cohen and Perry's estate, I announced the filing of a lawsuit against those who contributed to the disappearance and presumed death of her son, Perry J. Cohen. This lawsuit is about truth, accountability, and justice. Because the state attorney declined to pursue a criminal case, a civil action is now Pamela Cohen's only course. A civil action carries with it the opportunity to find the truth and let the sword of justice swing without favor, sympathy, or prejudice. That is the American way. And should a jury award damages for the profound loss Pamela and her family have suffered, the greatest loss a mother can sustain, that award will be donated to charity. In the last 2 years, enormous resources were expended, first trying to find the boys, and then trying to find out how and why this tragedy happened. From the beginning, law enforcement and our fine Coast Guard and Navy did all they could to assist. After 2 investigations and thousands of man-hours expended, for which Perry's family is grateful, many questions have been answered. Still, many linger. During the first hours and days after the boys' disappearance, Pamela and her family worked tirelessly with Austin's family and an entire community of old and new friends trying to find the boys. They worked together, they cried together, and they hoped and prayed together. When it became a harsh reality that the boys were not coming home, for Perry's family, hope turned to grief, and grief into bewilderment as stories and timelines and actions just didn't add up. There were too many unanswered questions for any of this to make sense. But Perry's family endeavored to stay positive, always giving others the benefit of the doubt and always being completely transparent. Investigators asked Perry's family for texts, emails, phone records, and various authorizations to obtain confidential and private information. Those requests were always welcomed, responded to with a yes, and followed by complete cooperation. As the investigations continued, Perry's family began to understand not everyone was fully cooperating. Austin's father refused to provide full phone and text records to investigators. Law enforcement was forced to obtain subpoenas to get that information. Naturally, Perry's family wondered why. Eventually, they learned the following very disturbing facts. 1. Austin's boat was not properly equipped to go into the ocean. How can a family who owns a sport fishing business and several ocean-going boats fail to equip their child's boat with essential safety devices? 2. Austin's parents were fully aware he was taking that boat into the ocean whenever he wanted to, and they allowed it. 3. Austin's parents knew Austin was going to take Perry fishing offshore on July 24th even though they knew Perry was not allowed to do that without Pamela's explicit permission and adult supervision. 4. The day before they went missing, Austin's parents allowed him to take Perry fishing offshore, during which the boys narrowly escaped getting caught in an afternoon summer storm. Austin's parents knew this happened, but never told Pamela. 5. Austin's grandfather, Richard Kuntz, who bought the boat for him and kept it on a lift behind his home, knew the boat wasn't equipped for the ocean and knew Austin was taking it offshore regularly. And on the day the boys were lost, he even supplied the money for the fuel. 6. Carly Black was concerned about the boys' safety as early as 1:45 p.m. on the day of the incident, but never called authorities for help and waited until after 4 p.m. to call Pamela. This contributed to delaying the search and rescue effort in the most critical hours after the storm. 7. Austin's father, Stephanos, took his own boat to search for the boys after Carly told him Austin wasn't responding to calls or text after the storm passed, but never called authorities, never joined search parties that night, and has never explained his actions. This also contributed to delaying the search and rescue efforts in those most critical hours after the storm. All of this just didn't add up. What were they trying to hide or protect? Perry's family was forced to go to court to preserve a recovered iPhone and forced to push for a reopened investigation after the boat was recovered, and for an FDLE investigation to reopen FWC's prior investigation. Perry's family waited patiently for those findings. Meanwhile, adding insult to injury, Carly Black actually sued Pamela in federal court, an aggressive and hostile act against the person whose trust was betrayed. Several weeks ago, the FDLE issued its report. The investigators concluded this tragedy was avoidable. This wasn't a case of bad luck or simply bad weather. Responsible parents would have never allowed a 14-year-old to go in the ocean on a small boat with no VHF radio, no tracking devices, no compass, and no voyage plan. Responsible parents would have checked the weather before letting the kids go out. Responsible parents would have respected the directions and trust given to them by the parents in their custody. Responsible parents would have called authorities at the first hint the boys could be in harm's way. And responsible parents have nothing to hide and are fully cooperative and transparent, so the other grieving parents are not wondering and waiting for questions to be answered. Perry's family cannot just move on, put this behind them, or let it go. There is no easy way to move forward for Pamela. For Pamela, the bond with her one and only child is too strong to let this pass without pursuing the whole truth. The more difficult path is for her to continue. Pamela will not and cannot stop until she is confident justice has been done for Perry. Thank you.
All right. A lawyer for the family of Perry Cohen, you saw there. That's one of the two Tequesta teens missing at sea for 2 years, almost 2 years now, announcing the filing of a lawsuit against those that he claimed are responsible for the disappearance and now the presumed death of Perry Cohen.
Listing numerous reasons, of course. Pamela Cohen, Perry Cohen's mother, now seeking accountability and what she wants justice for the people that she says she entrusted her son with, and not knowing some of the events that kind of foreshadowed what happened before those two teens went missing.
Among those events, that it wasn't an ocean-going vessel and that the mother of Austin did not call Pamela Cohen for hours after the two boys went out on their fishing expedition. Heartbreaking all the way around.